special meeting. This is a live in-person meeting, open to the public in accordance with the Sunshine Act. Okay, I'll leave the rest of it. Carrie, would you do a roll call, please?
Danielle Brenneman here. Mary Collin. Brian Lawyer.
Here.
Nick Lovell.
Here.
Janelle Ressler. Here. Wayne Sullivan.
Here.
Carl Thompson.
Here.
Stephen Yerker.
Here. Okay. Please rise and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, public comments. In accordance, let's see, we recognize the members of the public who have signed up to provide comment as stipulated in policy 903. When your name is called, please approach the podium, state your name, confirm you're a resident or a taxpayer of the district, and topic of discussion for the record. Please direct your comments to the board as a whole, not an individual. We ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. The privilege to speak may be interrupted, revoked, or a recess of the meeting may be called by the chair if the speaker does not observe reasonable decorum and orderly conduct. Thank you. Wayne Sullivan, you're up.
Thank you. Well, I'm here tonight to speak on Fred Miller's behalf. He's a longtime friend of mine. I've known Fred a lot of years. He's a pillar in the community. He's definitely done a lot in Town as well as other areas, as you all know. He asked me to say a few things tonight. This is coming from Fred, not from me, so I do want the board to understand this. Fred had a hearing problem, and nobody on this board would address it. Nobody would move him. Personally, I asked Carl back in the 5th month this year to move him, and he didn't move him, but he did allow Mary and Janelle to play musical chairs for 3 months. You know, obviously Fred couldn't hear, he couldn't read lips. Some of the people in here speak very lightly. He couldn't hear. He was struggling to understand what was being said. And on the 5:20 meeting on the stage, you put him down the very end of the row, which made it impossible for him to even read lips, let alone hear. This has been a prevalent problem in Littlestown. This happened with a previous board member who had a hearing disability, who left several years ago. Then you had people come up to this podium and attack him, personally attack him, saying one board member who can't hear 75% of the meeting, and we all knew who that woman was, can't even remember what he voted on. I mean, literally the attacks were atrocious. Now I want to get into, he told me to make note that there was one of the reasons why he left, another reason why he left was the corruption within this board. He saw a lot of illegal stuff going on. I mean, I'll personally attest to one of them. When the recording guidelines were approved, I went to eat with Fred that night, and it's very unusual for Fred not to eat. That man was having the worst indigestion I've ever seen a man have in his life. And why he was having it? Because of the recording guidelines. He knew that it was legal to record a public meeting. He knew that this was being done to push me around and push another citizen around. He knew it. And it bothered him that much. That was the straw that broke the camel's back with Fred Miller. And then I'm going to get into Brian Lawyer. He told me to mention, and I can do this under a case law out of Philadelphia, 2021. Yes, I can call out a name.
No, you may not.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. So this individual. No, I can call it out. There's a case law out of Philadelphia where you can't stop it. You can't stop it. You can't stop it.
We pause while the attorney just listens. I need you to clarify your reasoning behind noting one board member. Your reason behind that.
My reason behind that is because Fred asked me to say it.
No, your actual, what the purpose is of that, before you can go on.
He just wanted to mention that he was chastised in a meeting for his vote.
Okay, but that you can't do. If I'm correct, you cannot,
Okay.
you cannot defame an individual over those comments. If Fred wants to come in and do that, he has the ability to, but you cannot defame a specific individual under that.
It's not defamatory.
Okay.
It's not false.
All right, go ahead, you're back on.
Okay, well, in that case, since I'm not really allowed to say anything for Fred, according to everybody else, Fred did say he's fed up with all the evil stuff the board was doing and then covering it up. He said that two of the board members went AWOL. We both know who the two are. And I'm going to make a notice of this newspaper article. This article was BS. I wish somebody would have called Fred and not Mitchell to do this article, because Fred was not, he did not graduate in the early 60s. He graduated in the mid-50s. And there are mistakes in this that really made Fred mad. When this article came out, he called me from work and he told me, how dare them write an article about me without calling me, without confronting me, without asking me anything. And he was furious about it. And so I'm just here to say, you got it all wrong in this article. He also did not want that agricultural $7,500 to go to a mobile unit. He wanted it to go to the agricultural club within the district. He mentioned that to me the other day, and I said, fine, I'll say something, and we'll just go from there. But these are the things that Fred asked me to say. I'm not saying this. Fred asked me to say it. So he obviously didn't want to come in here because he'd be mixed up on his thoughts and words on the situation in the heat of passion. So here I am, and I want to thank you for giving me the time for mentioning this. And again, we should remember that Fred has served honorably in many committees, many events. He's a very good person, and he really shouldn't have been treated the way he was treated by board members as well as administration. So in that case, I'm done, and we'll just go from there.
As to your comment on January 30th, 2024, Property and Supply, you made a complaint at 5456 that Director Miller could not hear. Fred stated that half the people who speak, but Director Miller stated at 55 minutes and 58 seconds when discussing the microphones, well, don't do this for me. I will function somehow. Also on February 5th, 2024 work session, he discussed that he's got hearing aids now. So I'm assuming these are all
Carl,
on the record.
Fred was a proud
Okay,
man.
you're done. You're sitting
Well,
down.
now you're
That was
gonna just
rebuttal
say
to
that
your-
now?
That was a rebuttal to your statement that.
Well, that's
he said-
ridiculous. Fred
I
Miller
would've said-
was a proud man.
I understand that. I'm not arguing.
He
that.
didn't want to look like a weakling, and now you're making fun of him. That's
I'm not
how
making
you
fun
are,
of him.
Carl.
I'm not making fun of him.
You are making fun of him.
No, I'm not. I'm stating what he said, his words. Not your words, not your words.
Because he was a proud man.
Okay. Susan Johnson, please.
Jeez. Joe Mussolini over there.
Okay, I wasn't gonna talk about Fred, but I will say, you have to give reasonable accommodations regardless of whether the individual specifically asks for that reasonable accommodation or not. You knew there was an issue and you didn't address it, period. So, and you know that was an issue before, but I'm not gonna speak any more about that. I would like to turn to sharing my opinions about some key skills and experience that I hope to see the new appointee bring to the school board. The ideal candidate would have knowledge about our schools and recent, current, and upcoming issues before the school board. If tonight is the first time that one of these candidates is engaged with the school board, then I have serious questions about how knowledgeable that person will be about issues before the school board. In addition, the board should be seeking knowledge about overseeing building projects, procurements, service contracts, employee contracts, evaluating the superintendent or a similar role, their performance. The ideal candidate would also have experience and knowledge that others currently on this board may not have, such as special education or mental health. You should all be working together as a puzzle. I believe it's important that board members hear and consider different perspectives. I strongly believe that's an area that this board needs vast improvement in. I often feel like my perspective is ignored or attacked or dismeaned or defamed. And that's simply unacceptable, especially since I'm a district parent who is extremely knowledgeable about matters before the school board and has regularly reviewed every single document and engaged with the board and administration for 3 years. Finally, and of utmost importance, the appointee should demonstrate the ability to listen to expert advice, but also ask appropriate questions and hold the school administration accountable, not just on what they say, but providing proof that they are providing the best education possible to all students in a fiscally responsible manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, I need a recommendation for the acceptance of Fred's resignation letter of the Board of Directors effective September 19th, 2024.
So moved.
Remember, please.
Wrestler, second.
Lawyer. Thank you. Brian, all right. All those in favor signify, is there any discussion, further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. All right. On to the board member vacancy interviews. Welcome all 4 of you and 1 in the back. Can you hear me back there okay? Bradley.
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure you can hear me.
Yeah.
I've been accused of being soft. I'm going to ask questions of all of you, and we're going to go, just so there's clarification, and 1, you'll answer the first question, you'll answer the second question first, so it'll move down and then keep flip-flopping, so that nobody gets the second, or we're trying to keep it as fair as possible. All right, and I'm going to ask that. Okay, hold on, Mom, I get my paperwork squared away. Excuse me, 1 second. Who's some water we're aware of? That's right. Mary's on. Mary's on. All right, Mary's on. Okay. Speak. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm still trying to figure it. There, okay. I'm good now, I got it. Okay. First question, and Jeannie, that's you. Is she here? Okay. Jeannie, first question is for you. Our first question, and each one's gonna have the exact same question. What do you see as a role of the board member?
Board member works with the rest of the board as a team with the superintendent, and they plan the direction of the district and education. And then specifically, they establish policies, they approve the budget, they hire and evaluate the superintendent, they approve hiring and dismissal of employees, they approve curriculum, taxes, building and ground projects, and like school calendar and other things, and then they also help negotiate contracts like the collective bargaining agreement and the food service and things like that.
All of which she said.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if there's much to add to that.
Okay. Jim, I'll take that as an answer. You're up. Next.
Same question?
Yep.
Could, excuse me, may I?
Yeah.
Have each say their name. Say their name.
Oh,
first,
okay.
So we,
All right,
everybody
yeah.
here knows who's
Okay.
speaking. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll back
Jeannie
that.
Nguyen,
Yeah,
Gabrielle Sheridan,
thank you.
Donna Bayless, Alan McCall.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I thought,
And-
Online.
and on the screen is Bradley. Brad, wanna say your name?
Bradley Kiefer.
Okay.
Yep, Bradley Kiefer.
All right. I thought you heard, everybody heard me. I apologize. Okay. Donna, what is your, what do you see the role as a school board member?
I would say it's pretty much exactly as it's been previously stated. I would add to it that, there's a large piece for school construction, and following through with, the needs of school construction in regards to future growth. Was that a thumbs up for me?
That's
Dr.
thumbs
Menzel?
up for Mr. Lovell,
Oh.
with the feedback that we were getting.
I was hoping that was my thumbs up. Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Um,
I don't want to cut anybody off.
Well, it also should also include, reviewing the superintendent. That would, you might have already said, I apologize for this. In regards to, his contract, her contract, performance, et cetera. And, as far as academics, I don't remember if you said anything about academics.
So they plan the direction of the district and
But academics really has to be followed closely in regards to the performance of the students.
Anything else?
That would be pretty much it.
Okay.
I hate to give a generic answer, but I agree with everything that she said. I don't really have anything.
Unfortunately, there's a whole lot more.
Yeah, that was a
That's
very
why I
good
go through.
answer.
Okay.
She gets to go first next time.
She gets to get on the, I think she's on the fourth question. She goes first. And Mr. Keffer, your answer to that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So apologies in advance, I can't be there. I had a prior obligation for work. I'm in Austin, Texas, so appreciate the accommodation to be on the screen. But, you know, I think the role of a board member is to ultimately represent the members of the community. At the end of the day, you know, the community is the taxpayer that, you know, provides the opportunity for education. And I believe the, you know, community also involves the children. So the ability for the district to actually help guide and shape future generations is really part of the role of the board member. So there's the business opportunity, so being able to drive the, you know, the business decisions. There's the education opportunity, being able to set the curriculum, work with the, you know, the principals, the administrators to be able to set that, you know, education curriculum, and really overall just kind of like create a level of accountability. So that way there's a bridge between the community who has a desire, the children who have an opportunity, and all of the educational, you know, business requirements that we just talked through. So I think at the end of the day, it's really kind of building that bridge between the community and the district for accountability to go both ways.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Question number 2. We'll go to Ms. Sheridan. At this point, what is your understanding of the relationship between the Board of Education and the superintendent?
The board oversees the superintendent.
Anything else? That's your answer, okay. Phyllis?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that for a question, because on your website, you show that the school board and the superintendent are the same playing field. So it's very important that you can work together, would be expected that you can work together as a team, okay? But when it comes right down to it, the school board has the authority to hire or relieve the superintendent, choose which superintendent they wish, write the superintendent's contract, oversee the superintendent throughout the school year, or throughout their contractual year. Also there should be some leeway in regards to, bonuses and of course benefit package. So it's actually a large position.
So basically, what was previously stated, working together, the board oversees the superintendent, keep an open line of communication, and just work together, really.
Okay. And the gentleman on the screen.
Yeah, so I understand
board and the superintendent work as a team of 10 to plan the district, the direction of the district and education together. The board functions on a policy level. The superintendent takes those policies and implements and enforces them into the district. The superintendent does the day-to-day operations, and he also advises the board and the committees on any matters that are happening in the district.
Question 3. Start with you.
I'm ready.
Explain how you would handle an individual complaint brought to you by a citizen.
Well, I listen to the citizen's complaint, we take possible notes, and then I bring that concern complaint to the superintendent for him or her to address as needed.
Okay.
So I would listen, because everybody likes to be heard, encourage the individual to come to the board, participate, and just let them know that I understand, I hear what they're saying, and just encourage them to come. That's basically about it.
Riley?
Yeah, so I would take an individual complaints and I would document the information. So everything from the time of communication, the information that was shared. Again, as mentioned, I would encourage that person to come to a public session or set up an individual meeting with the superintendent or the principal or whoever the complaint may be about to see if there's an ability to resolve the issue or at least talk through the issue. And when there isn't a path there for resolution, possibly bring that to the board as an opportunity to speak either in a public setting or in private setting with the board. But it's really key, I believe, to create the relationship where between the complaint and the complainant and the complaintee to be able to have that conversation when appropriate. But obviously when there's things that are sensitive, really documenting that to kind of walk through that with the appropriate parties, whether that be the board or other administrators.
Thank you. Jeannie?
Okay, so that happens a lot, and that's policy number 906, and it has a chain of command that you follow. However, the policy does state that if a citizen comes directly to a board member, the board member should not try to solve it themselves. They should go to the superintendent, who can look into the matter. If the superintendent can't resolve it, then it will go back to the chain of command, which will ultimately come before the board if they want to do it, and they can even do it here.
I'm in the second what she said.
Okay. Question number 4. All right. Mr. Cole, your question is, explain your understanding of the board's role with budget preparation and approval.
Oh, I would get that question.
Well, the first are all helpful.
Okay, can you repeat the question?
Sure. Explain your understanding of the board. I'll try this better with not on my notes. Explain your understanding of the board's role with the budget preparation and approval. And I guess we're going to go with process because I think that's a word that's sort of missing.
Well, I'm going to be honest and say I would like to think that there would be training on that. There would be, to my understanding, there is board training that would help me better understand the process.
Okay. Bradley?
Yeah, so the board's responsibility as it comes to the budget is really designed to be oversight for the budget, to be able to actually work with the superintendent and district administrators to be able to establish the budget priorities based off the goals, the vision, the needs, the resources that are available, things like that. And then at the end of the day, it's up to the board to be able to actually walk through those final budget revisions, be able to work with the administrator to make sure that we have the taxes and the income to be able to cover it, as well as the proper plans in place when it comes to using reserves versus operating budgets to be able to execute that plan. So it's one thing to have a budget in place, it's another thing to have the income to be able to support that budget, and then make sure all of the goals are able to be achieved. As far as the tactical day-to-day operation of the budget, it really just comes down down to accountability and monitoring of that budget, whether it's things like, what's the plan when, folks are behind on paying on lunches? I know that's a topic that's come up at several school board meetings that I've been a part of, communications going out. So again, there's different layers, whether it's strategic visioning, execution, there's the budget development, there's the day-to-day accountability, and then there's, the conversations around what do we do when there's, gaps in that process. It's especially sensitive now with the building project that's happening, and the continued, renovations and innovations that are happening within the school district.
Thank you. It's coming, I gotta turn your page, just wait a second, I already know you know the answer. If you better know the answer.
You just say my name?
Come on. Gina, you?
So the budget should reflect and support the plan that the superintendent budget board came up with. The business manager starts the process at the beginning of the school year with the superintendent. It comes to the finance committee, they work through it. I think February is when we usually got it for the full board, where we got the proposals. And then, final proposal is usually in April. And then, we vote on it, it goes to a hearing, and then we have to adopt it by June 30th.
Good, thank you.
I really did not know, so.
That's okay.
But I'm a quick learner, so.
And give me 1 second, turn your page. Okay, what's your answer to that question?
I've had 10 years of experience, school board's experience as a board member. And basically our budget at the time was slightly over $500 million. So I've had the opportunity to work with a budget that exceeded $500 million. We had over 70 schools. Our enrollment was over 40,000 students, and we had over 7,000 employees. The budgeting process is not an easy one, but it needs to be completely transparent, and people need to be fiducially responsible. And in Pennsylvania, school board members are authorized to tax the residents for school system expenses. So I would say it's a large job. It needs to be done completely thoroughly and 100% transparent. And with the idea that, and the understanding in mind that you're managing people's tax money, and you need to do it in the best way you can to get the greatest bang for the buck for these children. Because not only is it an expensive proposition, but these kids are only on a limited time frame. You have them for a limited time. The time that's missed in their learning cannot be made. So, that's what I have to say about your budget.
Ryan, this question's to you. What do you see as the most important strength and weakness of the Littlestown Area School District?
Yeah, I think one of the strengths of the Littlestown Area School District is, I grew up in Mifflin County, so I'm from